Hello and thank you for joining us. We're doing an online hot tub water chemistry demo. In lieu of COVID and the pandemic, this gives us the opportunity to try and educate people as much as possible, but still stay within the social distancing parameters. We're going to be uploading this video on our website and on YouTube for anyone who wants to be able to see it, but also apply for people that are also just doing basic water chemistry for tubs other than our Hydropool brand. So let's get started. Inside of the kit that you have been given with the purchase of your new spa, you'll have a bucket, and this bucket is going to contain all of these chemicals. So just to kind of lay out what these chemicals are, I've lined everything up in order so that you'll have a basic understanding of what we're doing. This is all going to follow the water chemistry laminated sheet that you've also been given on the day of the delivery of the new spa. So what we're really trying to do is separate what we call balancers from sanitizers. And balancers are all about balancing the water to keep the water neutral. So when we talk about water balance, what's important is we're always going to do our total alkalinity first. And how we test is by using a standard test strip. It's a 4-way water test strip. Each one of these test strips is going to give you the opportunity to tell where your water balance is, where your sanitizer level is, so that we can keep the water neutral, keep the water safe for bacteria. So generally speaking, the way a test strip works is we don't want to touch any of the pads with our fingers, so we want to keep the oil from our hands away from the pads. We're going to dip the test strip into the water, typically 5 to 6 inches below the water, hold it for a second or two, and then bring the test strip out. Now ideally, holding the test strip horizontal will stop water droplets from forming and crossing over from one pad to the other. So at that point, when we want to read the test strip, instructions on the test strip will tell us to wait 15 seconds. There's reagents on the pad that are going to change color. Each one of these colors is going to give us an indicator of where we are both on the total alkalinity and the pH for water balance, as well as our free chlorine and our total chlorine levels for sanitizer. So general rule of thumb, always want to be aware, we always have to adjust the total alkalinity first. Easiest way to remember that is the letter A is the first letter of the alphabet, and of course alkalinity starting with A. Just a quick reminder, always doing the alkalinity first. Once our alkalinity is within range, then we can go and test our pH. So alkalinity to raise is a product that's called Alkalinity Booster. And what that does is if our alkalinity shows low on our test strip, we'll be able to tell how low it is by the coloration on the pad. On the back of each one of these bottles, there's a volume, if you will, or a metric of how much we put in based on the size of our tub. And most hot tubs in the industry are going to, be 1,200 to 1,500 liters, which is average. And each one of these is going to talk about the hot tub being at 1,000 liters. So you just do the simple math and say, well, if my tub's 1,500 liters and this is telling me to put in, let's say 20 grams for 1,000, then I'd put 30 grams in for 1,500 sort of thing. So fairly simple. Alkalinity goes up with the booster. Alkalinity goes down with pH down. And I know that's a little confusing, but our pH goes up with pH up. Our alkalinity goes up with alkalinity booster. Our pH goes down with pH down, but our alkalinity also goes down with pH down. So again, important to balance our alkalinity first and then our pH second. So that kind of takes care of the balancers. So we're going to talk next about sanitizers. Typically speaking, we're going to use chlorine in our industry, especially if we're using a mineral salt. So there's two styles of chlorine. There's going to be granular, which is a powder product, but we're also going to have it in a tablet. And the tablet is a compressed puck that's designed to do a slow dissolve rate. So general rule of thumb, just to keep this simple, is we're going to boost our chlorine level to create a base by using granular because it's going to dissolve very quickly, go into the water at a fast rate and give us chlorine on our test strip immediately. We're going to use the tablet in chlorine to be a slow dissolve to maintain that chlorine level throughout the week. So normally we're going to do our test on a weekly basis, which is to say that we're going to use our test strip once a week. We're going to check our total alkalinity, check our pH balance as necessary, check where our chlorine level is, and then we're going to either boost it up if needed, or we're going to add extra pucks. And on a general rule of thumb, 3 pucks a week is what most of the consumers are going through on a dissolve rate, if you will, on a weekly basis. And that's not to say that that's a standard format. That's just a couple of people using the hot tub a couple of times a week each time. So if you're using your hot tub a couple of times a day, or more than a few people using it in longer periods of time, you're going to consume more chlorine. So we can't really tell you exactly how much chlorine that you need. We always let the test strip do that for us, because the test strip is really the key to kind of maintaining your water chemistry balance. And it doesn't hurt to use your test strips more frequently than once a week. So especially new spa owners will oftentimes every 2 days, every 3 days, going to do that water test. We talk about oxidizers. So oxidizer is the same as shock. So what an oxidizer does is it takes any of the oils that are present on the surface of the water and it burns them or gases them off. So the key to oxidizing is only needing to oxidize when you see oils that are present on the surface of the water. A lot of people don't shock at all, and it's not even necessary that they do, because what's happening is just by rinsing their filter and keeping up with their chemicals, they have a low enough bather load. They really don't see oils accumulate, and they really don't see the necessity to shock. The key with shocking, if you are going to shock, is to follow the instructions on the back. So this is going to tell us here to add 100 grams per 1,500 liters. It's 25 grams a cap, so 4 caps would do it. And we want to leave the cover off for at least an hour, and that's a really important point, because this is really corrosive. It's going to gas off. If it gases off and the cover is on, it's not only going to defeat the purpose of gassing off, but it's a fairly violent reaction to the cover. And so we don't want to damage our cover prematurely by shocking with the cover down. So again, shocking as necessary. Whole idea behind shocking is after a party, after a high bather load. So if you've had a bunch of family members in more than normal, you might find that you'll see the oils on the surface of the water. If you do, that's time to shock. On your instructions, there's going to be a couple other products as well. Control. And Control is a sequestering agent. So what this does is it takes the metals and the minerals at the molecular level and it bonds them together. So typically we would talk about metals being iron, manganese, that sort of thing. And so iron would cause like an orange stain, and you'd see that in sinks and bathtubs and toilet bowls. Same thing would apply to a hot tub. If you had a lot of iron content in your water, what we're doing here is we're using Control to sequester those molecules so that they stay attached, so they don't break apart in solution and cause that staining. As well, we're talking about minerals here. So oftentimes it's going to be calcium and lime. And in water, those are going to appear white. So hot tubs that have a lot of white residual ring around the tub sort of thing, oftentimes Control is going to take care of that for us. If your water is decent, we're only going to do this on fresh fill. If the water is really hard, and in a lot of cases it is, we're going to do this weekly. So again, it's a little bit of a question with regards to where you are, where you live, and what your water type is. And then last but not least is Spa Clear. And Spa Clear is a coagulant. So what it does is it clumps particles that are in the water to make the particles larger so that they get stuck together and they can get caught in the filter. And it just makes the water look really clear. Clarifiers or coagulants are a great product to give you water clarity, but also to give you that simple, easy dose on a weekly basis. And the idea with clarifiers, we like to use them, but you got to be careful. If you put clarifiers in, you're going to create that coagulant to go to the filter. And so the next step is going to be, now I've caught everything in the filter, I'm going to need to clean the filter. So on a weekly basis, again, based on weekly bather loading, our filters are either going to be the cell clean style, or we're going to be in the Hydropool in the Serenity style. So if it's a self-clean style filter, it will have a center removable inner core. And what this is going to allow us to do is be able to get the nozzle from the water hose, jet nozzle, to be able to help rinse that out. So we always start at the top and flush the debris out of the filter from the top to the bottom. And you should really be doing this filter cleaning on a weekly basis. So when you're done, then simply be able to put this back inside as an inner core and set it back into the tub. And the same thing's going to apply on the Serenity series. It's just a little bit different style and shape. It doesn't have the removable core, but you can actually jet the water from these holes and you have the same concept. So basically, from a water perspective, don't be afraid to test the water as much as you feel comfortable with, at least once a week. Rinse the filter at least once a week, and a good idea to be able to take that filter every 3 or 4 months and soak it. And soaking a filter in a filter cleaning agent is always a good idea. And what that does is that allows us to prolong the life cycle of the filter. So if we clean our filter regularly, if we were to soak it every 3 or 4 months in a cleaning agent, about 2 years out of the life of the filter, and then you're going to replace it with a new one. And you can make these last longer by taking care of them. If you don't clean them enough, then you will run into things like flow errors or mechanical problems with the tub, where the tub doesn't heat or it comes up with some sort of an error message on the keypad. So again, very important to keep your filters clean. So that's it for now. This segment will kind of give us the rough idea on basic water chemistry. We're also doing different segments regarding how to operate the keypad, how to take the filter in and out for self-cleaning hot tubs. So, feel free to take a look at our video series, and we'll have lots of available information for you. Okay? Thank you very much.